All right, so this is going to be kind of an educational video using some of the information we have found by comparing a lot of Gibson TB-1 one-piece flange banjos. And we have two 1929 ones, and just to differentiate them when you're comparing them, this has the Seagull inlay and the other has the Flying Eagle inlay. So we're actually doing this for Brian in Canada. I don't think they'll find you, Brian. They probably need your last name or something. But we're going to compare the banjos and explain a little bit about them. And so the first one we're going to do is the Seagull pattern. So here we go. Switching back and forth, so I'm going to go to the other one. And once again, this is not Cecil B. DeMille. Okay, so here is the Flying Eagle banjo. Okay, so here we go. Now we're going to go up the neck into the middle position and play something. Flying Eagle. Now we'll do it on the Seagull banjo. Here we go. Okay, up the neck. Flying Eagle. Okay, so in a few minutes we're going to play a whole song, but let me just talk about these banjos. So what we have is a maple banjo, and we're going to look at the actual banjo. And as we're looking, I'm actually going to take the resonator off of it. It'll take me a second. So the first banjo is a 1929, a later 29, and this banjo has a Curtis McPeak tone ring in it. Now, a Curtis McPeak tone ring is a copy of the tone ring that's in his banjo called Old Betsy. So they took the banjo out and copied the contour and the weight, and it's a pretty darn good tone ring. All right. Now, so looking at this banjo, there's one more screw there. Okay, so basically we have this resonator, which is in really good shape. Okay, and has two rings of binding on it. Okay, Now that's about as nice a resonator as you're going to get. Anyway, and then somebody in really light, you really have to look hard. You can see the serial number here, but somebody had written it in the bottom of the resonator, okay? Just for your information, it's 9486-31. Okay, so that's that one. Okay, now this particular banjo is all original parts. Okay, now there's debate about whether the original parts sound better or not, and our experience, it really doesn't make much of a difference. Okay, the only reason that the parts become somewhat valuable is that these are the same parts that would be used on an original flathead, and there's a $60,000 banjo, $100,000 banjo. If they break the flange or if they break the tension hoop, you can take this part and put it on it and restore it, okay? If it weren't for that, then these parts really wouldn't be worth anything, okay? So, original parts. Now, let's look at the shell on this banjo, okay? And we're just about, we spent so much time explaining this that we're about to go fix it, which wouldn't take much at all. On this shell, let's see if we get close to that. Right here, where the three plies end, okay? There's a little separation here, okay? Now, we just haven't done this yet, but we could just go over to the Yon hardware store, put some glue in there and clamp it, and that would become solid and would become a non-issue. And we're just about ready to do that. But for expediency's sake, if you know about woodwork, you can just do it yourself, okay? The other thing about this banjo, it does have a small crack in the flange, which is so small, I can't even find it, but it's there somewhere. Anyway, and once again, the main thing is you can say, well, I want something that's perfect, and you can get that, and of course you pay a much higher price. But whether the parts are all original or not, you're going to get the same sound because the sound comes from the rim right here, the fit of the neck. Okay, so you could have 3 or 4 different necks and put it on here, and the one that's fit properly will sound the best. And then the third thing would be the tone ring, and also what kind of tone ring and how the tone ring was fit, all right? Now, we've had enough of these that if one doesn't sound right, we know it, okay? So, and if that happens, honestly, we take it to somebody like Steve Huber, and he takes the banjo apart and just makes sure everything's fit absolutely perfectly, and then you get the maximum amount of sound. So that is a description of this banjo, okay? Now, we're going to go describe the other banjo, and then once we've done that, then we'll play one more tune, and then we'll be done for today, okay? Now, so when you buy something on the internet, in all cases, you of course don't know what it sounds like. So what we've done is we do the videos and we compare banjos, and that works pretty well. Most people, when they get the banjo, it sounds the way they think it's going to sound, okay? So this particular banjo is an early 29. Once again, absolutely incredible shape. Look at that resonator, okay? Now, this particular resonator was early 29. You notice there's one band on it, okay? Now, just a case in point, this banjo was shipped out of the country, and it has a Made in USA sticker, if you ever see that again, okay? Perfect condition, okay? Then we go and look at the shell, okay? Really nice. All right. And this has a solid hole tone ring in it. There's no holes in it. Now, the solid hole tone rings, people say they don't have quite as much tone, but man, they just come at you. So when you're playing a solid hole tone ring in a jam, it just explodes, okay? All right, so that's basically it. So both banjos have good tone rings, good necks, fits good, and both banjos sound really good. So let's play one last tune and we'll be done. And I I was going to mention on this banjo right here that the tension hoop is new and the tailpiece is a newer tailpiece, okay? So that this banjo will be discounted to reflect that, but it doesn't make it any less a banjo, okay? All right, so let's do a couple things. That's banjo number 1. And let's go to banjo number 2, which is the Seagull. Okay, same song. I'm gonna say one other thing, and you'll probably want to get a close-up of my left hand here. One cool thing is we have the studio right next to the banjo warehouse, and we can walk in here and shoot these videos, which saves a lot of time. Okay, are we ready? So one of these, what these banjos do, the pre-war, and the pre-war parts that are causing the sound here are the shell and the resonator, okay? And if you put this shell and resonator on any banjo, it's going to sound better. What happens? Okay, when you're doing a hammer-on a banjo like this, or a slide, okay, those notes really come out. I have a guy named John English who's been playing about 9 years, and we've worked together, and he had a really, really good Rich Era RB3, and he came out, and had some TB-1s, and I honestly didn't know if his RB3 was going to sound better than these, because the Rich Era are really good. What happened, when he was playing, all of a sudden he could play slides with a sound he had never heard him do before because of this banjo. So he ended up buying this, traded in his really good RB3, and then he also bought, later, about 6 or 8 weeks later, he bought a MB3, which is a master tone, has the master tone label, and now he has 2 pre-war banjos, and he won't play anything else. So the banjos not only sound good, when you're playing in a banjo, it cuts through things. When you're playing on stage, it cuts through, and we actually have videos of him playing his 1 and his 3, and we have videos with the RB3 Rich. And the RB3 Rich in most cases would be the best banjo in the room, but these banjos definitely do something that they don't do. All right, that's it. If you have any more questions, you can call me or Andy at Banjo Warehouse, and this video will be on Banjo Warehouse, even though it's done for a certain person. And if there's a banjo that you're curious about and you want us to shoot a special video for you with it, we'll be happy to do that. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you later.